There we go. We've started recording.
Okay. Well, I told them if we started early, then we would finish early. So let's jump right in.
Perfect.
And I'm going to start sharing the screen. I'm going to share your desktop or just that PowerPoint?
Just the PowerPoint's fine.
Okay. Right. There's my button. Okay, well, welcome back. This is a phonological awareness workshop, and I know that we did a phonological awareness workshop with our larger group. This is going to be a much deeper dive into phonological awareness and phonemic awareness. We'll go into that in a minute, but it's going to be exploring Heggerty's curriculum. Right now, you don't need anything out in front of you. We are going to have some shared experiences, and then we'll dig into the curriculum itself. There's our email addresses if you need to email us for any reason. So our routines for today, we are going to sing or read together. And then we're going to enjoy an activity. We're going to explore together. We're going to talk about the things that we explored in partners. Most of the time, if you're at a table, that it would be easier to divide up in groups of 3 and a group of 2, or we'll let you navigate that if we say partners. If you want to do a group of 3 or 4 even, for most of the time, that would be okay. And then we're going to think and talk together during those small groups.
Just the way we normally behave.
So we're going to begin with our Hello Friends song that we've sang all together. So you do not have to type your name in any kind of text box because you are all together today, okay? We sort of designed this PowerPoint both ways in case we had people that needed to zoom in and not be in a shared space, okay?
That's right.
All right, so you remember the songs, I think, because this will be our 3rd time doing it. So let's have a sing. Ready? Hello, friends. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. It's time to say hello. And just as a reminder, I'm Allison.
Jamie.
And we're so glad to be here with you today. And I could see you actually doing it on your screen. I wish I had a picture of it. Oh, and it's going to play it for you. So we're going to jump right in. You can get this book, The Little Blue Truck, out of your blue bag. This is a classic. We tried to use a mix of classic and then newer to us books. You may have seen them all and enjoyed them all today, but this is one of our very first classics we wanted to read with you. And would you like to buddy read this book?
I think that'd be so much fun.
Okay. So you have your board book because you'll be able to see your physical copy of your book better than if we hold it up to the screen, okay? So we're going to read the book called The Little Blue Truck by Alice, and I hope that I pronounced her last name correctly. We sounded it out earlier. Schertle. I believe it's Schertle. But I noticed the name Alice because my name is Alice and then my grandmother's named Alice.
Mm-hmm.
So that connected. The illustrations are by Jill McElmurray. Mm-hmm. And they're beautiful illustrations. I noticed it says this is a fun, rollicking story, and I think that that's a good way to describe this book.
Yes, I noticed that the illustrators put so much emotion into the illustrations. You really do feel, I mean, you could really almost use this for a social emotional book too.
Yeah. Does anybody drive a blue car? Does anybody drive a blue? Are there any hands up? No? Oh, okay. I drive. One of our cars is a blue car, and I feel like it's sort of, it's not an odd color car, but almost all of my cars have always been blue, and not always just because I was seeking out a blue car, but there's that song, I'm blue, da-bum-dee, da-bum-die, da-bum-dee, da-bum-die. Do you remember that song? Yeah. I hadn't even planned to sing that for you today. That's one of those things, please don't put it on YouTube. Yeah. But I just thought, I don't know that I would use that connection for children because they probably haven't heard that song, but anybody that's, 80s, 90s child might have heard that song before. So that would be a perfect song for a little blue truck.
One of my dear friends, Kathy, she had a car for a long time that she named it Old Blue, and Old Blue lasted like 250,000 miles. So when I hear Little Blue Truck, I think of her Old Blue. It wasn't a truck, it was a little car, but yeah, I think of her blue.
All right. You want to start?
Absolutely. Horn went beep, engine purred, friendliest sound you've ever heard.
Little blue truck came down the road. Beep, said Blue to the big green toad.
Toad said croak and winked an eye. when little blue truck went rolling by.
Sheep said baa, cow said moo, oink said pig, beep said blue.
Cluck said a chicken, and her chick said peep. Ma said the goat, Blue said beep.
Neigh said the horse, quack said the duck, beep said the friendly little blue truck.
Honk, yelled a dump truck coming through. I've big important things to do.
I haven't got time to pass the day with every duck along the way.
Vroom went the dump around a curve. He saw a puddle and he tried to swerve. Like Papa driving. Into the mud, he rolled the big fat truck, and his big important wheels got stuck.
His heavy duty dump truck tires were sunk down deep in muck and mire. Honk, cried the dump, and he sounded scared, but nobody heard or nobody cared.
Notice how they showed they didn't care. I love that part.
That's our favorite page in the whole book because we have the humor of a 4-year-old.
Yeah, that's why it works out so
Yeah.
well.
My husband teaches middle school, and I tell him all the time, you have the humor of a 12-year-old. So it must be really connected.
Yes. Then into the mud, bump, 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 came the little blue truck to help the dump.
Little Blue pushed with all his might. Now Blue and the dump were both stuck tight.
Help, 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 cried the little blue truck. Beep, beep, beep. I'm stuck, I'm stuck. Everybody heard that beep, beep, beep. The cow came running with the pig and the sheep.
Up at a gallop ran the big brown horse. Goat jumped over the fence, of course.
The hen came flapping with the chick and the duck, and everybody pushed the little blue truck.
Head to head and rump to rump, they all pushed Blue, who pushed the dump.
They couldn't quite budge that heavy load. Then who hopped in but the big green toad?
I love his muscles and its teeth there.
He's feeling quite proud of himself.
Yeah, I don't know. That one's a close second on the favorite page.
All together, 1, 2, 3. One last push, and the trucks were free.
Thanks, little brother, said the dump to Blue. You helped me and they helped you.
Now I see a lot depends on a helping hand from a few good friends.
Beep, said Blue, who wants a ride? Everybody scrambled to jump inside. Oink, quack, baa, moo, cluck, peep, neigh, croak, ma.
Beep, beep, beep. That's
So-
a celebration page there. They're all
It
important
is.
now.
I
aren't
love
they?
that last page. I know you can see it, but and I like he's even covered in the mud and he's just still trucking along.
Mhm.
So of course, after reading that book, just because we have the blessing that we've worked with Christian County for a while, so we know you've spent a lot of time in dialogical reading. After reading that book just for enjoyment with the children and sort of getting used to the beat and the rhyme and things, this would be a beautiful book to use one of those crowd strategies with, or another any dialogic reading strategy that you wanted to use, and pull everything you could from that experience. And then the activity that we're going to do next would be great for an interactive read aloud, to just pull and connect with what we're going to explore with Heggerty later. Before we start that, before we move on though, I'd like for you to scan through the book and let's see if we can find a couple of pairs of rhyming words in the book. So if we can identify a few of those that you might point out to your students. And you'll have to just talk really loud or come up to the laptop probably for us to hear. Did you find a pair? I heard the A pattern there.
Yes, I did too.
Oh, I heard toad.
Bye.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Beep, beep.
Yes. Yep. Beef and sheep. I think I heard that. Let's hear one more and then we'll go on. We'll move on.
Truck stuck.
Truck stuck. Those are good ones. The one that stands out to me is a word we don't use very often, but tires and mire. I mean, that's a great one, but that's not one I probably have ever pulled out to use with children before. So it's funny because this seems like, you know, a definite little whimsical story, but it has some really good, deeper rhymes in it.
And all the onomatopoeia.
It would be perfect to teach onomatopoeia, which would connect back to your storytelling. If those kids have their little bear or whatever you have them storytelling to, that could be a whole prompt about, oh my gosh, let's tell the bear the onomatopoeias you heard at recess today.
And with their Fontes de Panel last year, they had so much on interactive read alouds.
Yeah,
This would be so much fun.
it would.
To
Yeah.
act out.
So we thought that was a good classic Little Blue for you.
I'm curious, let us know, have you used Little Blue before, Little Blue Truck before? Give us a thumbs up if you have. Okay, so not everybody's used this one, but it's good to find a book that.
Yeah. All right. So
and I'll say one other thing. We always sometimes like to kind of stretch and find some books that boys might be drawn to first. Not that Blue Trucks are always for boys, not at all. I don't mean that. But it is fun to find some big old dump trucks and stuff like that too, because sometimes our boys don't get that. And we have a lot of boys in our family. We always like to, we have a lot of truck lovers.
Or just children, you know, of any gender that are interested in trucks.
Yeah.
A lot of times trucks will just be a nonfiction book, and it's harder to find quality. I mean, or it's harder to find nonfiction for really young children. It's usually nonfiction usually starts around second or third grade. I mean, there have been better books made recently for that, but it's tougher to find that.
And we know transportation really goes well with your block area.
Yeah.
And
there's been some really cute things. If you want a copy of this, we can send it to you that we've printed out for some other counties that we worked for when they were doing more phonics and creating letters and things. And you may have taken it to Christian. I don't remember if they did, but it was like the roads that you can print off and then they drive their trucks on it. That would be something cool to put in the writing center to go with this. And then obviously, there's lots of block center. If you all want that, just let us know and we'll send that file to you. It's not something that we created, it's something we found and we've just used several places. So we have printed off our very own Little Blue Truck talking stick to help us with this activity. So our rule for this game is whoever has the truck is the one that's talking. And the way this activity goes, the teacher will start. I'm going to be the teacher and you're going to be the student. Okay.
Sounds good.
And then we will ask you all, whenever she is repeating as the student, just repeat with her, just say what she's saying too, okay? So we're gonna practice. Our friend Little Blue here is such a good friend. He loves to invite people to ride in the back of his truck. But as you notice from the book, he loves rhyming words. So he's going to invite some things into the back of his truck, but he's going to do it based on his favorite rhyming words, okay? So I'm going to give a rhyming pair and I'm gonna start with the word car. He's got a best friend, car, okay? And then you're going to repeat after me, okay? So, car, far. And you guys can repeat too.
Car, far.
Car, jar.
Car, jar.
Car, tar.
Car, tar.
Good. All right, so we're going to do one more from that list. I have 4 examples there, but I think you guys are the advanced group. We're only going to do 2 models, okay? So I'll let you pick your next rhyming set of words. Would you like to do bug, dog, or cat?
Cat.
Cats. Yes, we like cats, don't we? Okay, so we're going to move on. Little Blue Truck's going to invite some things into his truck that rhyme with cat, okay? Cat, bat.
Cat, bat.
Cat, sat.
Cat, sat.
Cat, rat.
Cat, rat.
Excellent job. All right, Little Blue Truck, do you think that they are ready to play the rhyming game? Beep, beep. Yes, he does. All right, so here is Little Blue Truck. Imagine this. has a little blue bag, and he has emptied out all the Heggerty stuff from there. And so he's put some super secret things in there. Okay. So he's going to give you,
clever.
He's clever and he's kind. That's alliteration, right? We got the same sound, beginning sound. Okay. So his first item hidden in his little blue bag that he wants you to know, it rhymes with car. So say car, car, and it's made of glass and holds jelly.
Car. Do I get to look in my bag or do I need to just guess?
Do you need to look in your bag?
I would like to take a peek.
Okay.
Car. I think I see it. Jar.
Excellent job. All right. My little blue truck next. This word rhymes with bug. Say bug.
Bug.
Bug. We walk on this object, and sometimes it's at the entryway, like when you open the door, it'll be on the floor, and it rhymes with bug. Would you like to look in my bag?
Bug. I see it. I see it. Rug. Rug.
All right. Excellent. 2 for 2. Okay.
Pressure's on.
This item rhymes with his good friend dog. Dog.
Dog.
It's green. And it loves to hop.
And it was in the story.
It had a different name in the story, though.
It was a toad in the story. And
Yes.
now we're going to say frog.
Did you find it?
See it?
Okay, good. All right, our last one. This word rhymes with cat, the word you chose earlier.
And I see it sticking out.
I can see it out the bag.
Bat.
What do you predict this is?
It's a bat.
You're correct. Okay, you didn't even have to have the second clue there.
I did not. I was so advanced.
You were advanced. Okay, so that is a game that you could play with your kiddos. I'm sure you play hide and seek or hide the object and find it. And I'm sure you do that with your kids. But obviously, when you have them look for the object, that's like giving them choices. Okay. It goes back to what we talked about earlier, that actual objects are going to make it more concrete and easier for children to understand than just having pictures of objects. But pictures are the next level. If you see that they're consistently getting it right with all the real objects, and you can move to pictures, it's a little more abstract. The most abstract is what I had asked her to do first, where there were no pictures and no objects. Okay. And you saw that was too challenging. So she said, may I look in your bag? And I said, of course. That's how you differentiate that instruction. If you have a child that's already generating rhymes on their own, and these were simple CVC words, like say you have a child that's already reading and generating rhymes, then you would want to move to the more advanced. If you have a child that is not there and is still very much needing you to do the model, then you of course would want them to look in the bag. There were 4 choices in the bag. If I had a child that was really struggling, I might only have 2 choices in the bag, where there were 2 objects that they could choose from. So that's easy ways to differentiate that for all different levels of readiness. But we wanted to start out with that introduction. Oh, and I didn't find this little blue truck actually until last week. That's why there's not a copy of it for you in your bag. So I'm sorry, I just didn't see it until last week when I was preparing for you. I actually stumbled across this as a Facebook link, which was sort of random, but I was so glad that I found it. So I put the link in here in this PowerPoint so you can go download your own if you would like to make your own. It's actually for birthday parties, for people that are having little blue truck birthday parties, but I think it works well for this game also. They do make plush little blue trucks. If you think that would motivate your students, you could also print it off. Like our library has a makerspace. You have a wonderful library. They may also, and you can print it on like a pillowcase and you could make it like a little buddy in your reading center too. It would be another cute connection, I think. So we'd like for you to discuss this in pairs. I'm going to move that so we can see better. And we'd like you to discuss these 2 questions. How much time would we like to give them to discuss this?
Let's try maybe 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. For these 2 questions, We're going to mute ourselves. We would like for you to discuss where's the literacy in this activity? What other rhyming activities could you do with Little Blue Truck? And also, how does this connect to the early childhood standards? They are linked there for you, or you may just know them offhand, or you could say to your curriculum. I think that would be fine since our standards are sort of in a limbo. Is that correct right now?
Yes, they are. We're not going to have finalized standards until the summer of next year.
Yeah. So if you also, that would be okay if you wanted to modify that question and talk about how it aligns to your
That's
curriculum.
why we probably will take just 5 minutes this time.
Mhm.
When we get our new standards, it would take us longer.
Mhm. Okay. So we'll go ahead and start that clock and let you guys have a chat, and then we'll debrief that at the end of the 5 minutes.
Did y'all know that? Thank you guys for telling us about the,
Oh, the new
Oh,
standards?
did you not know about the standards?
we did not know that.
Oh, goodness.
When
Well,
was that decided?
we heard about it in September with the state advisory council meeting for early childhood.
Okay.
And we had been hopeful we were going to see the standards in September. We were going to be able to use them in our trainings and things, but they did not publish a set. So they're aligning them to the kindergarten standards in a more, I don't know really what more means.
Because we've
but
not seen it.
We've not
We've
seen it.
anything about it.
But the thought is, and I don't know if the more means the format would be more like it, or if the language is more, I don't know what that means. But anyway, we will definitely stay and keep, as we learn more, we will be sure and talk to you more. We talked to our regional training center. Allison and I had a conference, a meeting with April McNulty from
About a month ago.
and she's not seen them either. So they're being, well,
They're being discussed, but we don't know anybody that's looked at them.
yes, they say they have a draft, but nobody that we know has seen them. So,
But we did, so that lets us know it's coming down the line at some point.
yes.
So that's what we're trying to do in our training right now. You can connect it to the early childhood standards, or you can connect it to your curriculum. We know that both of those things are going to be meaningful to you and how you determine what you're going to teach with your children. So,
and that's what's so nice about the topics you've decided to work on. Like, we know that phonemic awareness will definitely be in any
Yeah.
standards, no matter
everything
what.
we're doing, we know is aligned to the standards.
Right. That's
Okay.
the comforting part of that.
Yeah. All right. So we'll go ahead and get started
We'll
with
put
our
our timer on.
and we will mute ourselves. We're going to start 5 minutes, and we'll debrief afterwards. I'll probably ask the group to share just a couple of ideas that you generated. Okay, if you could just finish the thought that you're on. Okay, our timer has gone off. We'd love to hear from a couple of people about sharing the ideas that you have for other ways you might use this book with other rhyming activities.
We also have a whole farm unit, so this would be a great book to use during that time. You know, and then as you said, like report card skills, parts of the book, we can do segmenting with this book, you know, rhyming, you can do a whole lot with it that you would do with any other book, pretty much.
Yeah, it would work well with a farming unit. I didn't think about that when we were buying it, but as we were rereading it and preparing it for today, I thought, wow, that would really go well with a farming unit, which is interesting because our math and literacy has some farming task in it too. And we hadn't necessarily aligned it to this book, but that would work well also.
It's a great reminder about bringing some of these books back to our next training in February.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the way all of your trainings have been in the past is everything you needed for that training was in that bag. We'll say this again before we leave, but you will need to bring all 3 of these books with you to the math and literacy because we're going to show you, we're going to use them for that training also. Another idea that you would like to share or another connection to your curriculum that you found?
Jamie and Allison, we use the OWL curriculum. I don't know if you're very familiar with that.
Yes.
I have never used it personally. I actually just started in this position. So I use Big Day, but I've never used OWL.
Okay. We have, when I worked last year, well, 2 years ago with Christian, that's when I first became aware of OWL and saw OWL. We did review OWL one time years ago when we were working on a different grant, but I've also used Big Day with Scholastic with a different county. So yes.
Okay.
What's so nice about this book, it's a little bit like the standards that we were using, the phonemic awareness. I mean, this is the kind of book that can fit across a lot of different units because it can go through animals and go through transportation, moving vehicles. It could come into
if you have a nature, if you had an outdoor classroom, I can see because the plot to this is that they're getting stuck in mud. And so you could do some really cool science things with does it get stuck in mud or does it go through mud, right? So I can see this working well in an outdoor classroom environment after a rainy day, or if you wanted to contrive some mud.
And all the science that could be in this, because like the notion of that emotion of that big dump truck, I mean, he's got so much power, but his power gets all mucked up, you know, so everything with more power gets all mucked up. It's those smaller beings that pulled us through on this and the teamwork. So really
it's either unit 7 or 8, whatever push or pull is. We have there's a unit that we don't usually get to. Okay. We use it a bit in summer school, and it talks about the way things move. It would be perfect for that too. When we were reading through it, that's what I remember, what I recall from them. Yeah, it would be perfect for a push pull. Yeah, that's a great connection.
And you might want to move that up. You may want to do a push pull.
Yeah, and if you said you use it during, I think I heard you say you may use it during summer school. It would be perfect for summer school too. That would be really fun for the kids, engaging.
And in summer school, if you had different ages of students, sometimes you do in a room. That this book really lends itself.
I'm thinking you could make like a bag of pretend mud with paint, and they could even write their letters and things in it. That's beyond today's training, but as you're doing that, that's just what I thought of.
So they would love the mud.
They would love the mud. Yeah.
We all love it.
They would have to wear like a full bodysuit though, but they would.
Right. Yeah, they would. My younger. Go ahead.
This is an imagination library book too, isn't it?
I think it is. And you know, they're always different.
Yes, that's awesome because families may have it.
Yeah. So that's That's another reason that's another thing that you could do is make those question cards to go home with families, and it helps them know. Like I usually design mine around crowd. I just think those are easy for this. They're almost like book club questions that to let them know what to talk with their children about. This would be a perfect book for that.
Mhm.
We did go ahead and align it to our current early childhood standards for you. So those are on the screen there for your reference, just so we're all aware that yes, everything with this lesson and everything we're doing today will be aligned. That question we just asked you will be repeated through all 3 activities, or for the next activity that we do also. So Jamie, I'll let you talk about this a little bit.
Okay. So the last time we were together, we talked about phonological awareness, but phonological awareness is just a larger umbrella. And today we're going to specifically look at phonemic awareness, and we'll talk more about that. Last time we were together, we shared the reading rope. And we talked about that, to be a reader, it takes all kinds of thinking, all kinds of work. And basically that's divided between comprehension and word recognition. And when you look at phonological awareness, that's one of those necessary ingredients. It's one of those beautiful strands that come together to make a skilled reader. When you look at this, we're going to be moving. We started out with rhyme and rhyming, and we had some alliteration even. We talked about that today. And we talk about that we're going to be moving up to phonemic awareness, and that is the most difficult. Sometimes we don't realize how difficult it is. But Allison and I just even practiced this morning about how to make the sound so that you can later blend it and not add on to the sound when you isolate it.
The schwa.
Yes.
Yeah.
So all making the sounds and then being able to blend the sounds, segment the words into sounds, deleting and manipulating sounds and spoken words. That's really what your Heggerty curriculum is going to help you do. And we're going to start talking about that. But you see how this is the most complex. And we have folks, just recently, last week, we were working with some folks and they reminded us how that rhyming is still tough for our kids. So this is, people don't realize how important this is. And we're going to move into that and talk about why. So is phonemic awareness the same as phonics? This is many moons ago, when I first had my first phonics instruction, and I was at Western, and we had this little phonics book. It was a spiral bound book. I'll never forget it. It was orange in color, and it was like a closed reading activities. You would go through, and I had not been taught to read with a phonemic approach. I had not personally. When I was taught to read, we used more just word recognition, and I guess some of us that learned to read, we just learned a little bit about phonics almost on our own, but it's not how I was taught. So it was really something as a teacher that I had to really grab onto and think about and practice, because my dialect, and still does, interferes with some of those sounds. I had to really practice. But so we're going to talk about what are the differences. Let's move. A little challenge for us is we have things on our screen that you don't see, which is good for you. But what is phonemic awareness? So it's the understanding of spoken words, individual sounds, and they're called phonemes. So it's oral. It's not, we're not looking at letters written down yet. We're thinking about the sound.
You can do it with your eyes closed, right? So just remember, it's like a phone. It's just like a phone call. It's you can talk on the phone with your eyes closed because you're just listening. That was especially true before iPhones, right? Like old phones. But that's a good way.
It's a good mnemonic device to remember.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So when you think about a child that's phonemically aware, they're able to isolate sounds, manipulate sounds, blend and segment. And that's really what Heggerty's going to do. It's going to practice that each day for a certain amount of time each day. Okay. So phonemic awareness is, like we've said already, it's spoken. The lessons are auditory. It's like Allison said, it's like an old phone without FaceTime or all those other conventions. Or
texting before texting.
Before texting.
Because texting would be phonics.
Everything really is going back to
Yeah.
the 80s a little bit here.
Yeah.
So it's manipulating the sounds into words. So what is phonics? So phonics really looks at the letters. It looks at sounds and letters together. It does include the written language and print, so it would be the texting.
Yeah, so when we talked about tracing letters in mud, the reason I said that's not today's discussion, because that's more phonics. When you're really looking at the grapheme and the phoneme connection, that's really looking at phonics. And what we're going to focus on today is phonological awareness, and specifically phonemic awareness. But it starts really more with phonological, the broader, which is where it should start.
Mhm. So we think about it being both visual and auditory. So Allison mentioned earlier on phonemic awareness about closing your eyes, and you can do it with your eyes closed. Somehow that's freeing a little bit, but also some people like to use more senses. So using the visual and auditory together for some people is really, really pleasing too. I think coming apart from that, coming back in is a natural process. We almost need to be so deliberate. I guess that's what I've learned. Being intentional and deliberate is a very significant part of this. So the work we're going to show you in a bit doesn't take a lot of time each day, but the time it does take is very intentional. So the students work with reading and writing letters according to their sounds, spelling patterns, and phonological structure.
That's just the difference.
So why did they come up with, Heggerty? How did it come to be? Well, some of you have no dibbles. I think some of you may have used dibbles often it's used as a benchmark. It's used at some of those assessments that are used in the fall and the winter and then the spring to look for change. And dibbles gives data around letter naming, onset, fluency, and segmentation skills. And what happened is the data was so great when this type of work was being done using dibbles. That's how this curriculum really began to take off and began to have presence in our world. The lesson components are divided into 8 phonemic awareness pieces and then 2 early literacy skills. So it's 8 plus 2. We always like 10s.
Yeah.
So it works out well. Another 10 is you really should probably stay on this about 10 minutes per day. 10 to 12, it says. Now,
and probably not longer than that.
Yes,
right?
No, not longer at all. But it is a very intentional, deliberate time of the day. It is tier 1, it's whole group. Now you can come back and you can do small group. You could do it, when you're having that time and center time, and you always would draw back to that. And you could even have a specific time with tier 2 and tier 3. But this initially is tier 1. And when we think about this is something I know with your program, you're 4 days a week. Then you just use that week by week. You just leave off that 5th day. You don't, sometimes Allison mentions this when she was working with early childhood. Well, actually it was not with early childhood. It was working with a grant, GEMS grant. They were required to go on every day of the curriculum. And so it made and they were only in the school 1 day a week because they had different age kids each day. So it made that curriculum go forever.
And so what would happen is it was the curriculum that they had us using was written for 5 days a week, and we saw the children 1 day a week. So they had us do 2 lessons per day, but it still took us months to get through what would have taken a regular classroom, just a week or so. And that just was not beneficial. Everybody was tired of it by then. So I love that Heggerty says, no, if you're 2 days a week, a week is a week. And so I love that.
And it spirals. So you're not going to harm anyone.
Right.
Because it's that 8 plus 10. So all these are the 8. So we talk about this. You don't need me to, you're on the screen. You don't need me to read that to you. But these are the pieces that we'll do in each lesson. And in a little bit, we're gonna do a lesson. You'll see that.
And if you notice, if you connected this back to the stair steps of phonological awareness that we showed you earlier, you're going to see that this is all over that board. What I love about Heggerty, and hopefully you'll see if you have not taken a look at the curriculum before, is that it's going to start in a place that is developmentally appropriate for children. They're not going to start with asking children to just identify all of the sounds in words, right? They're going to start with compound words, or they're going to start with rhyming. And so hopefully that the scope and sequence of that will alleviate any stresses you might have from implementing this.
So the research, we already mentioned that Dibbles and the Rolling Goods work had really, proved that this was legit. But there's a lot of background pieces of this. We know that, nursery rhymes have for a long time have provided a background for students to be proficient readers later. And sometimes we've let those nursery rhymes go a little bit. And this reminds us of that. So we've just listed these studies here for you to see. The next one's about nursery rhyme again. And I love the third bullet because it talks about being able to rhyme really even helps you with spatial reasoning.
And discuss about what spatial reasoning is.
So spatial reasoning, in mathematics is you to be able to identify, let's just talk about, we think about like a area, we think about the area model, for instance, and where were you going to go with that?
I was thinking Tetris is a good game to connect to outside of school, like Tetris, knowing how things fit. But that connects with geometry and
number
area model.
sense and number sense, and even like being able to subitize would be a part of spatial reasoning, even.
Right, and that's where you look at like the domino print sort of and know, okay, the child doesn't have to count, they can look and see, oh, that's 4 because I see it's 2 and 2, right? So all of that is spatial awareness.
Yes, and I go back to me as being an adult. When I learned to knit, I really had some problems with spatial reasoning in the knitting and putting those stitches together, and I would have to read my pattern out loud and physically stop and breathe at the commas. And I mean, I was in my 40s when I learned to knit. And think about how much I knew about reading. Think about how much I knew about mathematics. Think about all that. But see, because that was a new skill for me, I was having to go back and be very deliberate. And even now, when I'm working on a new pattern in knitting, I have to just read that phrase and then stop and then do it with my so my spatial reasoning with my yarn comes out right. I mean, I guess that's just a personal connection. I'm sure you have other personal connections, but sometimes people say to us, I can't look at a blueprint and know what the house is going to look like. All those things are connected to spatial reasoning.
And it's so interesting that rhyme and music that have been found to increase that skill.
Yes.
Sometimes we just think of, oh, nursery rhymes are old or they were just fluff, but there's just so much there. And kids are starting to miss on that because they have other opportunities that are wonderful. We just have to make sure that they don't miss out on some of the foundation.
And I wonder, of course, I don't know, but some of that phrasing, it's that stopping at that phrase. It's that deliberateness about it in our brains. It really makes those connections because we know we learn by connecting. I don't know that. That's just me speculating. Whoops.
Yeah.
There we go. More than one way to click on this thing. And sometimes it prefers one over the other. We don't know why.
I don't know why, but it keeps changing its preferred method for us.
And we just go with it. We don't have time to worry about it. So the 2 literacy skills, remember we said it was 8 plus 2, alphabet knowledge. We've mentioned that a lot. And I know when we were working together a couple of years ago, some of you told me, oh, my kids are so over alphabet knowledge when we do it in isolation. And I get it because it didn't make any sense. Why do I care if that's a T unless my name has a T? I mean, there's not that much I care about it, unless my mother's name is a T or my dad's name or my sibling. But when we think about alphabet knowledge, when we can connect it, it really does make more sense and helps us. And then language awareness, just language. We do a lot of work with language, and you'll see that in even when we do some of our samples in a bit. And I must say, when as a teacher over the years, when I taught through many different decades, and we moved through different reading curricular materials, sometimes they would have more language in it than others. And then we worked in writing. We know that the importance of language. So all these things, and I will say this, because you have your reading grant that you have with the state, they're going to be looking at oral language, and we don't know exactly yet how many times I think they're going to measure that, but they're going to be measuring oral language. So all these pieces fit together, and that's why the state's curious about the oral language of our littles.
So we've had a lot of talking just now, and you did have a little bit of a break to just talk to each other, but we've not had like a real break yet. So let's just take a mindful moment. We're going to use alpha breaths. Would you like to just call out a letter?
Yes.
You want me to have them call out a letter? Or you want to call out a
Why
letter?
don't we let them call out a letter?
Why don't you just call out a letter? Give me a letter that you'd like. B as in boy.
Z as in zebra.
Z as in Z as in zebra. Or my
Mm.
child that watches too much YouTube would say zebra. Anybody else find out that your children speak with accents because you let them watch too much YouTube? Please say I'm not alone. Can we have a show of hands, please? All
You're
done.
not alone.
Okay, good. My younger son would say jaguar. You know, I'm like, oh my goodness, aren't you fancy? You didn't learn that from your mama. Okay, so we're gonna do the Z breath, which is a good one because it's the day after Halloween, y'all, and I am feeling a little Z myself. Are you?
Mhm.
All right, so the Z breath is imagine falling asleep. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Hold it. Let it out slowly, imagining a zzz. Let's do that one more time, but this time when we let it out, let's just make a long Z sound. Ready? So close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Let it out. Okay, so that one is a good one if you are getting ready to do nap time or you want kids to calm down. Z breath is a good one to do. That's my favorite Alpha Breaths book. My hope is next year when we do the academy to buy that book forever. I mean, we haven't been able to finalize or do budgets or anything, but that's on my short list because it has been very helpful. All right, so
Should
hopefully
we take a little break, let them.
let's take a
maybe-
break before we
let
do
them
this.
go-
Yeah,
maybe
because we
so.
started early.
We
So
did.
15 minutes or 10 minutes or what do you think?
Let's check in with you because is 10 minutes enough time for you to get up and go to the restroom?
Or do you need 15?
10? Okay.
All right.
10 minutes.
We'll set the timer. We're at 10 minutes. And when you come back, be ready to be students, okay? Because we're actually going to do the first lesson.
What day?
Just right there.
Taylor, what day did you?
and we're not going to put the Google slide deck back up yet because we're just going to do a teacher student right now. So there's no reason to see the slide. I am going to be looking directly at my Heggerty book, but because you're students, you don't need to look at yours yet. Okay, you're going to look at yours right after we do this. Jamie will model being a student, but I would like for you to do it also. Okay. So we're going to we're starting with the first lesson, day 1. Okay. And first lesson, day 1 is found, I'm on the second part of that because we read this right before we started and I didn't flip my page back.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay. So here we go. We're going to start with rhyme and repetition. So I want you to look for similarities to the activity that we did earlier and in Heggerty. I think you're going to see how that we've designed this to align to that. All right. So I'm going to say a set of rhyming words like we did with Little Blue Truck, and you're going to repeat them. Okay.
Okay.
Net, set.
Net, set.
Can, ran.
Can, ran.
Pig, dig.
Pig, dig.
Good. I see you doing them. Fox, box.
Fox, box.
Excellent. And our last one will be duck, luck.
Duck, luck.
Excellent job. We're going to move on to our next section. And this one is, I'm going to say a beginning sound and then a word that has that sound. And you are going to repeat after me, just like we did before. Okay. Stella, stop. Okay. That's my dog growling under the table. That's not a part of Heggerty's curriculum. Okay.
Stella, stop.
Yeah.
Joke.
Just a joke. I don't even know what she sees out there, but she's keeping us very safe. Okay. All right. So came.
Came.
Down.
Down.
Rain.
Whoa.
That's okay. Everybody, it's easy to do.
Will you do it again, please?
Okay. Rain.
Rain.
Wash.
Wash.
Sun.
Sun.
Excellent job.
You know, I'm better off if I don't see the word in my head, because that's what because I can read, I saw rain and I wanted to do that.
Ruh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that's why it is good that you don't have anything in front
It
of
is.
you.
But in my mind, I wanted to do it.
That's okay. And in some sounds, it's really hard to leave the schwa off, right? Like
Especially when you're a schwa person.
Yeah, it's like duh, guh. You know, it's that Everybody say that sound when you barely open your mouth, like it's an unstressed syllable. So when you say you're gonna see you can almost say it with your mouth closed. It just barely opens. So everybody say that together. As much as we want to leave that off of the consonants when we're saying, because later when we get into phonemic awareness and they're sounding out like the word dog, if you put the schwa on there, it no longer sounds out the word dog. It then changes into d, g. And so that's not the same as d, g. Right. So when you say the beginning sounds, the onset sounds, or the ending sounds, and I mess it up too. I mean, I have to really watch it. And that's okay. If you do mess it up, you just laugh with kids and say, oh, you know what? I put an A at the end of that. And so you just want to try to keep the sounds as short and as clipped as you can to leave that extra sound off the end.
And that's why it's so important. You train your ears to only listen. I mean, I want to, it's sometimes more difficult to only listen.
It is. Yeah.
But it's a freeing spirit if I can allow
But we
myself,
all do it, right?
I'm gonna I'll free myself to only listen.
Right. Okay. So now we're going to do blending words, and I am going to start and then you're going to repeat it. You ready?
Okay.
Outside, outside.
Outside, outside.
Bird, house, birdhouse,
bird, house, birdhouse,
goldfish, goldfish,
gold, fish, goldfish. I see all those happy hands.
I do
there it
too.
is.
That's why I started looking at them. I was looking at you, but I can see you and them if I look here. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Backpack, backpack.
Back, pack, backpack,
Inside, inside.
inside, inside,
And that's the section on blending words. Now we're going to do isolating final sounds. And for isolating final sounds, we've been doing a lot of this, right? And I've not taught it to you, and you've just picked it up naturally, right? But we have a new motion that's different than all of the ones we've been doing so far, okay? And we're going to punch up like a superhero, okay? So you might want to do a practice punch, okay?
great Halloween after.
Yeah. And we're going to punch up at the final sound of the word, okay? So our first word is up.
Up,
Good. Book.
book,
Pig.
pig, g,
Job.
job,
Cat.
cat,
Excellent job. High five. Now we're going to segment words. I added that high five in.
Yeah,
It was
high five
not a
yourself.
part of Heggerty there.
like
High
Dr.
five at the screen.
Dr. Jean would say, kiss your brain.
Yeah. All right. So now we're going to segment words. I'm going to start with a word, and this is the segmenting motion. We will start with our hands together like this, sort of like a thank you or a pray. And then we are going to separate the word out. Okay. So same pattern. You will repeat after me. Okay. Classroom, classroom.
Classroom, class, room,
Excellent. All right. Backyard, backyard.
backyard, backyard,
Footprint, footprint.
footprint, footprint,
Sidewalk, sidewalk.
sidewalk, sidewalk,
And our last one will be without, without.
without, without.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to move on now to adding words. Now, I'm going to say, hey, Jonah, let's look at Siberian tigers in your bedroom, okay? Sorry, he's on Google, and you might be able to hear that. And I'm sorry, we have a Google with a screen, and he likes to periodically look at his favorite animals or whatever he's interested in. Okay, so I'm going to just start with you while Mama takes care of Jonah. So I'm going to start with a word, and you will repeat that word after me, and then I'm going to tell you what to add on, okay?
She wants
So,
to do sounds too.
okay, great. Jonah's coming to do sounds with us.
Hey.
Jonah, can you say hi to all my friends?
Hello, friends.
So Jonah, we're going to do some words, okay? And you're going to repeat after me. Your hair looks amazing. They know it's the day after Halloween and you're still on your sugar high, right? Okay. Did you see the Siberian tiger?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Okay. What color is a Siberian tiger?
Orange.
Just like you today. Okay.
Even the pumpkins.
Even the pumpkins are orange. That's right. So you repeat after me. You
And
ready?
they also have
So
stripes.
sun, you say sun.
Sun.
Add day, and we have the word Sunday.
Sunday.
Yes. So let's say the words we add together, okay? Birth, you say birth.
Birthday.
Add the word day. Birthday. Good job.
Birthday.
Birthday. Good job. All right. So week.
Weekend.
Week. Add the word day.
Big day.
Weekday. Excellent job. Give me 5. That was a righty 5. That was a good one. Thank you, Joe. And just like that, he's off. Okay. Thank you for allowing our guest appearance there. All right. So our next one is we're going to be deleting words this time. So I'm going to say a word. You will repeat it, and then I will tell you what to delete. Okay. All right. So the word is backpack.
Backpack,
Without pack is
Back.
back. Okay. The word is backyard.
Backyard.
Without the word yard is
Back.
good. Backbone.
Backbone.
Without the word bone is
Back.
good. All right. So I think that one's a little trickier. Eventually what that will lead into is deleting phonemes. They start with deleting words from compound words. Now, if this were Tuesday, Thursday, we're doing day one. So we would not do letter naming. If this was Tuesday, Thursday, we would sing our ABCs right now, and I could show you. This would be the one part Jamie mentioned earlier that would have a little bit of a phonics component.
8 plus 2, the 2.
Yeah, as we sing ABC, then I would show you the cards as we would sing, but you only do that on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay, so we're going to skip that for today because that's not in today's section, but we are going to go on to alphabet knowledge, and it works on nursery rhymes, and it starts with the itsy bitsy spider, and each day of the week you add a little bit more. So I'm going to sing a part of the itsy bitsy spider, and then you're going to sing back to me that same what I just said. Just repeat it. Okay. The itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout.
The itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout.
Down came the rain and washed the spider out.
Down came the rain and washed the spider out.
Now, Heggerty curriculum, I did adapt this a little bit. It doesn't say specifically if you do the whole thing or you break it up. I think with young children that I have worked with in the past, they need that break there. If they were unfamiliar with the itsy bitsy spider, the whole phrase it wants you to do today is the itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout, down came the rain and washed the spider out. That's a little bit long for some of our children to remember and repeat if they have no schema of that nursery rhyme. So I would divide it up. You can also have this nursery rhyme written out and add to it each day so that they can see it written also. Those are the only two parts that they have something they can look at. Okay, so let's go back to our PowerPoint. Thank you for being excellent students. Everybody kiss your brain like Jamie said earlier while we get this going up for you again. Okay, so please open your Heggerty book now, and I want you to look at the part I was just reading to you. So we're gonna give you some quiet time now to think to yourself. It's pages 1 and 2, and Jamie pointed out earlier that's not Roman numeral 1 and 2. That's actually pages 1 and 2, and it's week 1. It starts right with week 1. So the left side says week 1, the right says page 1. And we're going to be quiet. And I want everybody to just sort of take a minute to scan this page and the next page and just think. I'm going to give you 3 minutes.
3 minutes is good.
We're going to give you 3 minutes to do that before we talk about it. We'll be asking you what you notice at the end of this. What are some things that you noticed? Okay, friends, what did you notice as you looked through this first week of lessons? What are some things that you noticed?
In the OWL curriculum, when we do the unit assessments, we always assess them on segmenting words, and it works a lot on segmenting words. And I've used Heggerty just a little bit in the past couple of years, and it really does translate. Like all my kids will know by the time we do our end of the year assessment on the OWL, all of them have got that segmenting word,
Oh, good.
which is the first, kind of supplemental thing that I've used that had that in there before.
Good. That's wonderful to hear. And segmenting is so important as it relates to reading later. So that's,
Mhm,
and it's wonderful you found connections with your other curriculum also.
mhm.
Yeah.
And I know you like your data to come back and show your result of your work. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, just like the first week, so you'd say it's the first week of school, the words like classroom, backpack, it'd be stuff that they would need to learn, or they might already, they can real life experience kind of ordeal using those words that you would be using that first week of school.
Absolutely.
Yes, I agree with that. I think that I like the words that it chooses to use, and I like the scope of how it starts with compound words instead of just starting with sounds. Is there anything else that you noticed or you want to talk about before we move on from this part? I do want to point out one thing, because then one of the next things that you're going to do is you will be in teams and you'll be working with a different lesson. And there is an option here. So the way that the curriculum is written, so for example, if you look at page 1 and take a look at onset fluency, when we've done a training in Hardin County on this before, and the teachers, when I presented it as option 1 because that's the way it's written first in the curriculum. So it is, instead of came, that's what I did today. Today I did came, and I did it as came. And so there were some teachers that were passionately against that option. But I just want to be sure that you can still implement Heggerty with fidelity and do it either way. Okay, they give you the option of doing it either way. I think that there are benefits to doing it either way. And that's because when you are working with children in older grades and you are really blending, when you're doing phonics, when you're really looking at sounds and letters, and you're looking at how do you spell a word, the way you spell a word is you would say dog. What's the start sound? So do you see how that, what's the first letter that it starts with, or what's the first sound we need to write down as a letter for the word dog? So when children are doing that, what they have to do is hear dog, understand dog, and then think back to the start sound. Now, when children are just beginning and phonics is new, I can see why you would start with dog, why you would start with the sound and then do it. But I do think there are benefits, especially when you're working with children as they've had more, their readiness levels are higher because they've had more schema and more experience, to asking them the beginning sound after they hear the word. So there's not a wrong or right way to do it. Either way is fine. And I think there's benefits to either way.
Absolutely.
It's changed its mind again. So this is just a reference for you. You notice as we were doing it that we would do the compound words, and I would present rhymes like this. We punched up. Later, when they're taking away sounds, they actually did not say it to do it. They don't introduce all the hand signals in the first weeks of lessons. They slowly build those in. And so there are for taking away and for giving back. This video that we linked in, we feel like is a pretty good video for exploring those different hand signals. It does have written directions, but for hand signals, I'm a visual person. I had to go on and watch about all the hand signals to understand what to do.
And I have to do them with them.
Yes, I do too. And it can be a little frustrating because if you're just searching the web, you're going to find different Heggerty presenters are going to do them slightly different and be picky about different things. And so I just would say, we talked about this before. Watch the videos, pick the way that makes sense to you and your children, and then just be consistent. Don't change it up on them. Just make sure what you're doing, you're consistent.
And it might be worth having a conversation with the kindergarten teacher too. So because that way, when the students move on, then they really know that signal already. And you guys are in unison there. That it might help parents too.
Yeah, that's a good point. So that would be a great vertical sort of conversation, just decide everybody's doing the same thing. But you will find some variation even within Heggerty. Like you found something for, I can't remember what it was, and then I found something different.
Right.
So we're not going to watch that video right now, but we did want to give you that as your reference.
And
Okay.
we've sent this Google slide deck to you, Akeisha, and to Caitlin and to Michelle too, so they can share out with you so you have access to it.
Absolutely.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So now it is your turn, and you're going to be working in groups of 2. This is one that works well in pairs, but if you have an odd number, it's fine if you need to have one triad or one group of 3. And you're going to do just what we did earlier, but you're going to take turns being the teacher and the student so you can get that feel. And you're going to do it for Wednesday. And that's page 1 and 2. So you're just going to move to Wednesday. The reason I skipped Tuesday is because we don't have those letter cards printed off right now. You don't have those in front of you, and you can still get the flow of the curriculum. Okay. And you can go ahead and read what it says to do on Tuesday or Thursday for letter naming. But it won't be in that section. How long do we think that they need to teach? Well, it says it takes 10 to 12 minutes.
Look, let's try 10 minutes and see where we are.
Because
Since
they're
we're
adults.
adults.
Yeah. So we're going to set the timer for 10 minutes. We'd really like you to open up to page 1 Wednesday. Just go all the way through it, hand motions and everything. Take a minute first, though, to read it to yourself as the teacher and familiarize yourself with every word and sound that you're going to make. And then go ahead and pair off. And then you can reverse roles. You can kind of go half and half if you want. Okay. But we'd like everybody to take a chance of being a teacher and the student. So you can decide how you divide that out. So I will pause myself now and let you guys have a little dramatic play.
Any questions?
Okay, I think they're ready.
Okay, let's talk about it. What did you notice when you were role playing? One of you being the teacher and the other being the student. What did you notice?
Wants to be the lucky winner.
We heard a lot of things.
We did hear a lot of
Yes.
things, and we have excellent wait time.
Yes, we have faith too.
We know.
So what did you notice?
Amanda, what did you notice? Because you had some questions. Sorry to put you on the spot, but
It was just a lot of like repeating back. So it really works on their language skills, especially for those kiddos that need that practice.
Absolutely. It really does work on their language skills.
What a great thing to point out.
Yes.
Ms. Mays pointed out that you can use some of it for small groups, and I mentioned that before, but when we get to that adding and deleting words, when it's a harder concept for them to understand, that it'd be much easier sometimes to teach it in small group a little bit first or all the time.
Absolutely.
I agree with you on that. And it will be like anything else. There'll be some parts that are easier for kids, and then there'll be some parts that have some growing pains at the beginning. But the good thing about the curriculum is it's a pattern. And so it's the same thing every day. So you know over time, after you do the small group instruction and things like that, that it will become something that they pick up on. That's a great point.
Mhm. I noticed that some of you were talking before we began that have used it, that you slowed things down at times.
I think it was onset and rhyme. I'm not sure who said it because we can't see you well, but we can hear you. And someone said when you do onset and rhyme, like if you're doing the word dog, you would do dog, dog, and you would put a pause there. I thought it does not say to do that, but I think that sounds like a really good idea because we know, especially if we're working with children that are might be processing things a little more slowly. That's one hesitation I would make. I think if this became a pattern and you were doing this with your kids, you could probably get where you do it really fast with most children. But if you have children that are slower with auditory processing or maybe have a developmental delay in that area, they probably still need to hear you say it pretty slowly. So I thought that slowing down the onset and rhyme was a great tip. I'm not sure who said that, but that was a great idea.
What else did you notice?
I think I heard someone say they did different hand signals. Is that
Mhm.
true?
it's me. Let me turn the computer. So Heggerty for the past 2 years. And because onset and rhyme is really abstract for them to
Yes.
understand at first.
Mhm.
So I would always pair two different motions, for beginning sounds, we would go d, og. For ending sounds, we would go da, g,
Mhm.
so that they
Oh.
can put a visual or tactile experience with that.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that. I think you're right. I think you're going to know your kids and you're going to know the hand signals that work best for them. I mean, and that's where I think there's always a lot of conversation about implementing with fidelity. You must implement with fidelity anytime you're purchasing a new curriculum. I don't think changing a hand signal to match the needs of your kids would be not implementing with fidelity. I would never worry about that. Because, for example, my child has hemiplegia. He's not going to be able to do the hand signals with the other hand. So we're going to have to find a way to modify it to work with one hand. You might have some children with quadriplegia, and it might be better to do some kind of nod with them, right? Or find something
idea.
else. Maybe, what did you say? Right.
That's a great thought, great idea. I would
Yeah.
have never thought of that.
Yeah. So I just think, I don't know. That's obviously, I'm not a Heggerty trainer, so that might be a major faux pas to say, but I'm a 100% believer also in the school of just life, and you know your children and you know what works for them, right?
That's so true.
We've had some fantastic conversations before we ever got started. I just want to say we just sat and listened for a while because we were like, this is it. This is good. They are talking about, and what that says, we haven't been there and worked with you as a team, right? Like we may have seen you at ECLA, at Greg, or virtually. But I love getting to hear you be together as a team and speak with candor, just openly, like, that's going to be really hard for them. I don't know how I'm going to make this work. That's a normal thing to think when you're starting. And that's what you should think, because you are problem solving and figuring out how to make it work for your learners. You've already thought, I'm going to need to do some work with segmenting or adding and deleting in small group before I really expect them to master this. And in the beginning, if it's mainly you modeling and they're hearing it, that's the beautiful thing about the way Heggerty's created, is it's got so much modeling in it.
I wonder if your instructional assistant could take on the Jamie role a little bit the first time you introduce.
Mm-hmm. And they're modeling as the student.
Yes.
Yeah. You even notice with Jonah, and Jonah is a fluent reader. But what I have found and this is a mistake I made, right? So I've taught up through 6th grade before, and I'm just going to tell you the truth, the mistake that I've made. I really stopped doing phonological awareness tasks with children once they started reading. And that is a mistake I made. Like when you go down, you write down all the things that you've done wrong. That's something that I did wrong. And I did it with my own son. So I obviously had not scripted that with him. And I don't know if you saw, but he was doing weekend, adding that on. It took him a few patterns to catch on to that. And that's okay. And he's older than the children you're working with, and he is an independent reader. So I just want to say that, so don't feel frustrated if you do this the first time and you're thinking, they're not getting that. It's going to take time. Do not feel frustrated. It takes a lot of modeling to get there. Okay. The other thing is I want to point out is that first lesson that we did would be exactly what one friend said in the room about modeling some of those skills in small group to add on. So it'd be more like a tier 2 kind of instruction instead of just whole group instruction. And that's what we did with the big blue car, that activity that we done. It could have even been one-on-one, like with an instructional assistant or another volunteer that you have in your classroom, so that later when we did the Heggerty curriculum, they were more successful. Do you see how we designed that task? We're going to do another task here in a minute that is designed to also support the type of phonemic awareness and phonological awareness skills that are in the Heggerty curriculum. Jamie and I have talked about this, and we think you've heard a lot of us talking today, and you guys work so great in groups and you are together. You're not just on Zoom. So we'd like for you to buddy read this book together. So if you'll get out the book, All the World, raise your hand if this is a new book for you, if this is a book you've not used. Good. This was a new book for us too. It is a Caldecott winner. It does have a rhyming pattern, so you may want to notice that when you're going through. It's very different than the Little Blue Truck and the last book. We tried to choose 3 books that were very different. So I hope that you like this one. And we're going to start by just doing a buddy read and noticing some of the rhyming pattern in there. And then I will give you the task. So you can either be at your table, choose one person to read, or you can go back to your groups you were in before and read in pairs, like how we buddy read Little Blue Truck earlier. We're going to give you a few minutes to do that now.
Mhm.
How long do you think they need to read this story and talk about the rhyming words they find?
Maybe 4 minutes.
Okay. So we'll set our timer for 4 minutes. If at the end of that time you're still working, then we won't interrupt you. If you finish early, we'll pipe in. Okay. But we're going to set our timer for about 4 minutes and let you guys buddy read and enjoy this book together.
Start us off.
Go on.
We are ready.
We're ready. Okay, they're ready. Miss Mamaw. Mamaw is having a snack. Mamaw's having a snack. Okay.
I had too much sugar last night. I think it makes me hungry today.
Yeah, but it's Halloween. You're allowed to.
So I'm having a
Too
good
much sugar.
protein snack now.
Okay. So there we go. I would love to hear what you thought about this book. It's very different than the other books we used today because it was new for you. So I'd just love to hear what you think about it. Did you hear? What did you say?
I liked it. It was
You liked it. Good, good.
Tell us more about what made you like it. How did you connect to it?
It goes throughout the day and it shows like ups and downs, but real life.
Same, right? I agree with that. I think that but it's not in a way that's boring or like would be inappropriate for a young child, right? Because they have all the same emotions we do. I think that's good that you pointed that out. I think this book would work well for social emotional learning too. One thing I like about this book also is that it occurs in so many different places. So like they're outside playing, they're on a boat or near a water, they're on a road, they're outside stuck in the rain. I think that thinking about they're at a cafe. I don't know if any of you have been to New Orleans, but every time I see this page, it makes me think of eating beignets in New Orleans.
Cafe du Monde.
And I don't know that that's it, but that's what it makes me think of. It doesn't have a little blue truck in it, but it has a little red truck in it. And I love the ending of this book where it ends with all of the world is all of us. That would be a great community building SEL thing for the beginning of the year. And that works well with the activity that we're going to do with this. So an activity that I would do with this with children to help strengthen some of those skills that we would be using in the Heggerty curriculum is looking at onset and fluency for the first game. And I would start it out just like we start out with Heggerty. So you notice when we did the little blue car activity, I started out with modeling with like car, jar, car, far, car, tar. I would start the same thing here. So game one is going to be onset fluency. This is going to be a seek and find game. And we're going to do the beginning sound. So our first word is leaf. So leaf, leaf. Can you say that with me?
Leaf. I didn't
Good.
swallow.
That's okay. Jar, jar.
Jar, jar.
Good. Hen, hen.
Hen, hen.
Good. Okay. So we're going to practice some onset. So now we're going to do a new onset sound, and my new sound, my new secret sound that we're looking for, we put our lips together. This would be where it would be really cool for it to have mirrors with children and let them look at their mouth as they say the sound. So we're going to make the sound. When's the time we might say
I'm having something yummy to eat.
Right. After Halloween, we probably have said that sound. I like the sound because you can feel it on your lips. It kind of tickles, right? Okay. So we're going to look for a word that has the sound. And the word in the book I found with the sound is moat. Can you say that one? Moat. All right, so I want everyone to look around right now, and we're gonna go do it too. We're gonna take about 30 seconds to look around our space, maybe 45, because I don't want you to run and tackle each other. And we're gonna find something with the sound and bring back to show and tell, okay? So 30 seconds starts now. Go find a
Yeah, a good one.
All right, my friends. Everybody hold your sound up that you found. I found a, say it with me, a monkey. Mama found a,
M&Ms.
what did you find? I see you holding it up. Can you call it out?
I couldn't hear.
We couldn't hear. We're gonna need somebody close to the computer to repeat it.
Math.
Oh, that was a perfect one. Oh my
A lot of
goodness.
those that are like.
That's right. Okay. All right. One more.
Watch out.
What'd they say? We couldn't hear. We feel left out of the joke.
Muscle.
Muscle. Did you muscle? Okay. All right. So I would do that several times. Maybe stick with the same sound every time. If we were really learning and focusing on that one sound, I might stick with the M sound the whole time, the M sound. If it's the beginning of the year and I'm working with Jamie, obviously I might not choose, what sound might I use for Jamie?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Very important to me.
That's right. I'm going to use the first letter of her first name. Okay. Or if I know that she just loves frogs, then I might use the F sound. But just like last time, how we talked about relating it to the child's interest is going to increase the likelihood that it's going to go into long-term memory. Same is true when you're just working with sound. So that's why you know your students. You can pull a sound from the book or pull a sound that you know interests them. Okay, we're going to play this game one more time with isolating the ending sound or the final sound. So we're going to practice this again. Rug, g.
Rug. G.
Phone, n.
Phone. N.
Stick.
Stick.
And I could have done my hand motions there, right? So rug, rug. Okay, and you can put the pause there, just like you mentioned with onset and rhyme. I think that's a great idea too. One of my favorite pages of this is the one that where they're in the kitchen, and it talks about one of my favorite words, which is butter. Let's say that word together. Butter. What do we hear at the end there? Okay, so butter. So I would like for you to look around, and this is going to be a little more challenging, and we're going to find something that ends with the sound, okay? Just like butter. So I'm going to set the timer for 30 to 45 seconds. Go look around, find something with our sound. Gosh, it's so much easier to find beginning sounds. You have peanut butter.
Cheers. No laugh. Dr. Pepper. Vodka. I know we all do. Sucker. Oh, just kidding.
Close. Almost there. Order. I really can't.
You can say that one. Maybe we should just find that. Water.
Car. Okay, I'll be done.
Okay, let's see. All right, my friends. I would love to hear what you found. It took Memo on us surprisingly.
It's a very hard
We had
task.
a difficult time with ending sound today.
Too
Okay.
much sugar.
Yeah, I regretted my butter choice. All right, we'd love to hear some things that you found or saw that end with the sound. So you go first, and then we'll share.
Ayla has a magical bag of stuff.
Oh, somebody has a magical bag. I love magical bags. Farmer?
Water.
Oh. Farmer.
Oh my goodness. We needed your magical bag. We struggled. All right. Excellent job. All right, you want to share what you found?
All right. This is scar.
That's
Well, it's not really scar. Sorry. Pretend it's scar. I couldn't find
But
scar.
wait a minute, it works. What is this? What's the actual name for this?
Tiger.
Tiger.
Okay. Everything Jonah has a real name, but I thought I can't call that a tiger. It's got some other stuff.
Okay, tiger.
Okay.
It works both ways.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Peanut butter, which is same
And
as
that's
butter.
okay, because kids would start with that. Peanut butter is a different word than
Butter.
butter. It has that. And for some reason, do you ever just get a word in your mind and you can't think of any other word? Literally, the only word I could think of was ladder. That's it. My brain stopped at ladder. So I just ran to the garage and got the ladder because I'm very committed to you and my hide and seek game here. Okay. Picture of a ladder would have also worked. Our dog is now up here, very concerned about why you see her snout. She's very concerned about why we are dragging things like ladders through the house.
Yeah. Excited about it. Really.
Yeah.
She
Okay.
picks up on emotion.
So hide and seek is one of my favorite games. If you were ever doing virtual things with families, this is something really fun to do and model with them. It works really well at family events, or if you happen to have an outdoor literacy event. It's fun to play outside too. I see you're in the library. It's perfect to do that in the library area because they can also find pictures in books of different words too. Again, remember we talked about earlier, real objects are easier and more concrete than pictures, but use wherever you are. And it's just a really fun game. And it strengthens the section of onset fluency and isolating final sounds. So let's have a partner talk about this for a few minutes. How does this activity reinforce Heggerty's curriculum? We said that it did, but how does it? I want you to talk about that, okay? And how does it connect to early childhood standards? Where's the literacy in this activity? What other phonological awareness activities could you do with this book? We have several questions for you to discuss there. You can pick one or two that you want to talk about, okay? So get back in your partner groups or your table groups and take a minute to talk, and then we will reflect back on that.
Okay, let's come back together. And you guys are so, you're so advanced. We're gonna go ahead and let you do both parts of question 2 there at the same time. So where's the literacy and how does this connect to the Heggerty? You've got to do 1 and 2 kind of together. How do these things connect? And how would you use it? So you mentioned your OWL curriculum. How does this fit in?
Well, it asks you, we assess them on beginning sounds, identifying beginning sounds. So this helps identify beginning sounds.
Absolutely. What else?
I mean, you could just have an ad on it. You can do the hide and seek while you're working with the Heggerty, like while you're doing it.
I love that idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. They love hide and seek.
Yeah.
So what other things could you do with this book? Connecting to Heggerty or your curriculum, or just that you know is good literacy practice? What comes to mind immediately? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
We're working on the sounds of the letter.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's so many different objects. And we will use this book again in our math training, and we're going to show you how we would use it with math curriculum at our next workshop. But I'm glad that you found lots of different ways to use this. I think you could do a gross motor twist on the hide and seek game too. Like you could have them hop to that, or you could have them crawl, or if you're outside, you could really do lots of different types of gross motor movements as they move to different things. So good. Thank you for sharing. All right, so we're gonna stand up and move around. This is our last book that we will enjoy together. And
Speaking of gross motor.
speaking of gross motor, is the perfect segue. Okay. We're gonna stand up and we'll push the chairs in, move the Heggerty curriculum. And you can stand up with us.
Yeah, we invite you to. It's always good to have a little bottom break.
Yep.
We talk about brain breaks, but
Sometimes your body needs a break.
Yeah,
All right, so everybody
body
stretch up
break.
tall. Reach your fingers to the ceiling. All right, stretch out to the side. Reach your fingers to the walls. And stretch down and reach them to the ground and wiggle them out. Okay, so we are going to read this book to you, and we are going, you're taking your sweater off for this.
it's gonna be a dancing fool.
She's gonna be a dancing fool, guys. We are gonna do the barnyard dance, okay? So
This
you
is
have
the part you're in the circle of trust. You can't share this.
Yeah. So you have your book in front of you, because that's going to be better than us holding up the page for you. And this is a classic. Raise your hand if you've used Barnyard Dance before. Probably nearly all of us. So here we go. My page is stuck. Okay. All right. You want to start?
Okay. Stomp your feet.
Clap your hands.
Everybody ready for a barnyard?
Barnyard dance.
What's up, Barbie? Go hit a ladder.
Sorry, my ladder's in the way. We have a ladder and a dog back here. Bow to the horse.
Bow to the cow.
Twirl with the pig if you know how. It takes longer to twirl around the golden doodle. Okay. Bounce with the bunny. Bounce with the bunny.
Strut
Strut the duck. Can you strut, Mama? Look at Mama's strut. Spin with the chickens now. Cluck, cluck, cluck. With a baa and a moo and a cock-a-doodle-doo. Everybody promenade 2 by 2. They may not want to promenade, but you can pretend to promenade.
Lots of language. in
Lots
this
of
book.
language. Keeps closing on us. Prance with the horses.
We got a prancer in that dog.
Yep. Skitter with the mice. Swing with your partner once or twice. Are they swinging? Do I see swinging? Okay. Stand with the donkey. Slide with the sheep. Oh, we have a donkey. Slide with the sheep. Scramble with the little chicks. Beep, beep, beep. With the neigh and a moo and a cock-a-doodle-doo and another little promenade 2 by 2.
It's like Bridgerton.
Yes. Trot with the turkey. Leap with the frog. Ooh.
We better be
Yeah. Take another spin with the barnyard dog. Yes, I am right here. Look Look, she's ready. Turn with the cow and a patch of clover. Take a bow. And the dance is over with the oink and a moo and a quack, quack, quack. The dance is done.
but we'll be right back.
All right, give yourself a hand.
Miss Stella's happy.
Our dog Stella thinks we've officially lost. Well, we lost a whole row of books back there.
All at once.
That was a whole force and motion lesson. Okay. So that is a fun, I hope you enjoyed getting up and moving for a minute because we are nearing our ending of our time together. And we have not created this task for you. This is where you get to write your own task. So you know it aligns with your curriculum that you're using, and we'll focus on, you mentioned there were some parts of the Heggerty curriculum that you'd like to design for kids to have a little bit more practice with. So this is your opportunity. We have asked for you to practice to design a task that would work on blending, segmenting, adding, or deleting. Just because that is one of the sections we have not yet modeled. We modeled rhyming, onset, and final sound. But if your heart's really set on modeling something different, we're not going to hold you back from that.
That's right.
We did link in the hand motions that Heggerty suggests for each of those and provide a sample for you. You also can use your Heggerty curriculum and look at what they do when they blend words, what they do when they add in. You have several things at your ready there, but we're going to give you time now. You may do this independently, or you may do this in table groups, or you may do this in partners. You can choose what works best for you. Okay. At the end of this time, we will share out those tasks. Okay. So we have about 40 minutes left together today. Do you agree? I'm trying to think of what time we officially started, because we started early today.
Yes, we did.
So we want to get out early. We want to honor your time. And so we have about 40 minutes together. I would like to have time for questions and time to share at the end. So do you think 20 minutes?
I think they could do it in time.
Okay. Is 20 minutes fair to you to design a task working on just one of those bulleted points? Is that, you think 20 minutes is enough time for you?
And then you'll be ready to share that with the room.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay, perfect. And again, you may work by yourself or in pairs or small groups. You can choose what works the best for you. Okay. This is a wide open task. It's not like that there's a rubric. If you have your computer or you want to jot down and create things or make lists, you do what you need to do, but it's not like this is going to be assessed at the end, right? I don't want you to feel stressed about it in any way. We would just want to model those Heggerty, like how we began with modeling, and then the children do the task. Do you have any questions about this before you begin? Or what questions do you have? Are you ready to go?
All
Ready
right.
to go. All right. So we're going to set a timer for about 20 minutes. And we will try to keep listening into you too. We will be here. So if you need, just come over to the laptop and let us know if there's anything you'd like to talk about while you're working. Okay. So at the end of this, we will all share. We'll have all groups share. You may get started. Okay, so our timer has just gone off, and we just want to check in and see if that was enough time for you to design the task to go with Barnyard Dance. Do we have the sound down? I can't, can you hear them?
Maybe move
I'm muted. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, now I can hear you. So did you have enough time to design a task?
Yes.
Perfect. Great. So when you share, do you mind to come close to the laptop so that we can see and hear you a little better? We want to be excited about your ideas with you. And you can choose. Like Keisha, if you want to help us decide which group goes first, that would be great.
Okay, I guess we'll start with Miss Brooks' group in the back. They're all there right at the moment.
I hear people laughing. That's good.
Come a little closer. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can see you.
So we had talked about using the animals in the book to work on onset and work on them hearing the first sound of the word in each of the animals that we read about in our book.
I love that idea.
Mhm.
What kind of physical manipulatives do you think you might, did that feel like a quiz? Did that feel like a job interview there? You turned around, I'm sorry. I just wondered what kind of manipulatives do you think you might use with kids and animals?
Well, we talked about having them also act out what each animal did.
Ooh, I love that.
A little movement. We could also do like the animal faces on a popsicle stick and hold them up as you're working on each animal.
Oh, I love that idea. And I love the
Mhm.
movement idea too. All right, everybody
Mhm.
kiss your brain in your group. Good job. All right, our next group.
Well, we started with segmenting, and we started with barnyard, chicken, partner. So we were going through all those things, and then as we were going through that, we have our handy dandy little animals that you had sent out with us a couple sessions ago. So we have the animal manipulatives already. So we talked about hiding the animals in the room, and if they find them, they have to segment, chicken. And then they can do the dance or whatever that's associated with that we read in the story. And then the whole class could do it together with them or however, whatever we wanted to do with that. And then we went on to doing syllables because some of those animals don't have more than one syllable. So, you got chicken, you got frog, and then cow. So we were talking about, we could also throw in some syllable work in there as well. How's that?
I love it. Good job. Kiss your brain. Perfect. Oh, sorry. Just elbowed the dog in my head. Excellent job. All right, is there another group?
Who's presenting? Antoinette?
Go ahead and then
Brittany?
Antoinette. And
You got this, Antoinette.
I even said however, whatever, like you would say.
I
know this that. Do I have to get this
Okay, Miss Kayla apparently must have heard what we were discussing at our table. But yeah, where'd go further? Okay, but we were talking about segmenting words as well. And we talked about some of the animals, and we would put the word on cards and see if they could put the word together, put the two segmented words together, and then possibly have an image of the object that we were talking about.
Love it.
Yes.
It's a great
Great idea.
Great idea. Kiss your brain. Good job. All right, do we have another group or was that our final group? Oh, wait. There.
Okay,
Is it one more group?
that's it.
Oh, that's
it. Okay.
Hey.
The voice roboted out. So it sounded like you said one more whenever you said that's
Oh.
it. Oh, that's great, everybody. Okay. I love all of those ideas.
Mhm.
I would love to be a little in your rooms and get to do all of those things. And the cards. And I love that they're bringing in the materials to the cows, the little manipulatives.
Mhm. Makes me think there's centers too. They could use all kinds of objects in their centers, and then their popsicle sticks could go back in the
Yeah.
writing center or the reading center. And
Yeah. And the hiding the animals around the room.
Mhm.
And I'm writing a hands-on literacy book right now. And I have a hide and seek lesson in there. Something as I was researching for that hands-on the last group that shared about putting the picture cards and separating them. And then the groups before that talked about syllables, and you all may already do this, but I thought this was really neat. Something I found is that you put, because if you want to keep it as a phonological awareness task where the words aren't in there, but you still want them to physically pull them apart, they had pictures of the objects, and then either the children cut or the adults cut and have it like where they Velcro together on the syllables. So if it was a picture of tiger, it would be a tiger cut in half, and it would be tiger, and they would put it together as they say it. So it's kind of the same as the hand motions, but they're just looking at the picture as they do it.
Mhm.
It made me think of that when you shared it. Okay, so we don't have to do that because
We've
you have
already
already
done
done it and we've already shared. All right, so this is actually the end of our session. We just wanted to have the last 15 minutes to hear from you. Now, we're not going to use the chat box, but I'd love to hear, let's just make a fist list. So that's going to be 5 things.
Mhm.
I'd love to hear 5 things that you're excited about trying out with your littles, or why you're excited. It could be your why. It can be anything at all that you want to share. We're just going to get to 5 things as a part of our reflection. Okay. So who has something that lit their fire today? They're excited to go explore more or excited to do.
Fully understand the difference between phonics and phonemic awareness.
Mhm.
Yeah. I had, so to this, you found that this helped you with the difference?
It helped me visualize at the very beginning, especially when we were talking about it. It helped me visualize, make some more connections on what that really meant.
That makes my heart so happy. Can we high five each other for that? Because that is tough. Can we high five you? Can you go to the screen? Boom.
Love it.
Okay. That's an awesome takeaway.
We also still struggle with that.
You have to really think about it.
We'd always almost recalibrate that. Maybe that's how I should say it.
Mhm. All right. That was a good one. Let's hear 4 more.
I really enjoyed going through the Heggerty lesson because my assistant principal just gave it to me a few weeks ago, so I was kind of doing it in my classroom, but it was nice to
Haven't had a training. on it.
yeah, like a first aid training on it. So it was nice to go through it.
Good. It is so important just to go through it and talk about it with people.
You know, one thing we didn't say, and this is one of my jobs I didn't do, and that was this scope and sequence page. It's on Roman numeral, 6. But, when you think about having a conversation with your principal about it, this really shows you the weeks of school and what you'll be doing each week in regard to those lesson components. And
So just as an example, if we're looking at onset fluency, for the first 19 weeks, you're just isolating just the beginning sound, just like you did. And then when you get to week 20, they isolate a consonant or a vowel. And then week 24, they generate words with the same onset. And then beginning at week 28, they'll categorize, is this onset the same or is this onset different? So it shows you the progression.
Mhm.
And we did forget to share that with you when you mentioned principal.
yes, it's always nice to be able to show how that builds, because if they're in your room and they see the same routine every day, they may not realize you're doing different things, and it builds over time.
Yeah. Excellent. So glad that was helpful. It's a good thing about just being together and being a part of a team.
Mhm.
All right. 3 more.
Want to share something, Brooke?
Sure. I really like the books that you gave us today. I will use those in my classroom because I actually didn't have them in there, and so I think the lessons that we learned with our books today was also helpful.
Good. I'm thrilled to hear that. When we were designing this, we didn't want it to only be just the Heggerty pieces. We wanted to show you how that you could add on to books you already have, or books that we shared with you, and some other fun hands-on ways to practice these skills. So good. It makes our hearts happy. 2 more.
Kelly, what'd you say? You gotta come on up.
I like the way, at least when everybody else is doing the hand. Wax on, wax off. Kayla with the framing of the words together.
I like wax on, wax off.
She likes the hand motions
like that
there.
term.
That's good. Hey, that
Yeah.
was a good tip. That was a good
Yes.
conversation too.
Yes, it was.
I love that. All right, 1 more.
Let's see. What about you, Taylor? Taylor D? I meant
This
Taylor.
was my first full week, so just being able to learn how other people do different things, how they- going through the whole Heggerty, because I'd never heard of it before.
Good. You're
Nice.
so right. It doesn't matter if it's your first week or your 7,000th week. You are going to learn by, we call it scouting, not stealing ideas, but you're going to learn by scouting, because our brain is always going to be better than my brain or just her brain. And you all are 10, 11, 12 brains there together. So
Mhm.
I love that. And thank you for having a growth mindset, because that can be difficult, and be coming in and being ready to say, hey, I don't know much about this and I want to learn. That's a tough place. I'm going to say the first time she told me, I have sold for you to do a Heggerty training, I was like, I know very little about Heggerty. I had to do a lot of researching. This was last year. So I was in your place, and I was even skeptical at first. I thought, gosh, I don't know how I feel about, it being, I'm a very hands-on sort of person, but I actually do really like it. I think it proved to me that there is a place for all different types of instruction. I can see that it's very meaningful. I've adapted it and using some of those things to my own child. So I feel where you've been.
And the notion that you only do this for 10 to 12 minutes a day, tier one.
Yeah.
That you've already talked about how you're going to use this with small group. And I think, and connect it to your AL curriculum, you're there.
Yeah. All right. So thank you for sharing those 5 reflection pieces. Since we didn't have a chat box, that was a great way to do that. We are actually finished. We started early, so we are all done. Jamie and I will hang on here, though, if you want to come up and have a chat with us about anything Heggerty, writing, or phonological awareness, or math, whatever you might want to talk to us about, we will be here. But we hope you have a fantastic day, and we look forward to hearing about all of the cool things that you do.
And February 22nd, you're going to bring your books back.
Yes. So be sure and have these books, right? Jot down, if you're going to use them put them in with your library now, just jot down the titles. You'll need to bring all of these books back with your math kit. Okay. When they'll give you your math kit in February, but make sure you bring these books with you.
And we'll remind you too, but
Yeah.
if you're like me, it's always good to think about that.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing your
Kiss your
time with us.
brain.
Everybody, one last kiss. All right. We can sing our goodbye song.
Oh, because
Okay. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. It's time to say goodbye. All right, so we're here if you need us.
I think Akeisha had a question.
I was just gonna tell you thank you so much. It was awesome.
Well,
Oh,
thank you so much.
Akeisha, we would love to set up a time just to talk together. So was last week your first week, did you say, or?
Oh, no, I started September 7th.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Well, wow, you've
Well,
already
good.
got 5 or 6 weeks in.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Well, we're glad to meet you, and we're glad to see you all, and all of you in small group. It's hard, when there's so many, so it's good to be with you all in small group today.
Yes. So,
Okay, just email me, or I can share my Google Calendar.
oh, that'd be
whatever works.
wonderful. That sounds great. So we would like to talk with you about, there's going to be an opportunity for preschool partnership grants. And we know that you guys had one last time. You got a nice template there for you. And I think it's going to come out maybe February or sometime in the spring. So we could help you think about that if you're interested.
Yes, that sounds great.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. And you've got the PowerPoint. I'll send you the recording as soon as it's rendered for the person that couldn't be there.
Okay, thank you.
I'll close that out.
Yeah, I'll stop the recording.